There are many ways to go about how to introduce our guest today on this special episode of the Scorecard. So I'm just going to keep it simple and say he's one of the best to ever do it and one of the greatest coaches in Philippine basketball history, Coach Chot Reyes. Coach Chot, thank you so much for the time, and it's an honor for us to have you here on our show, The Scorecard.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thanks for having me.
Coach, every time people talk about your accolades, the 10 PBA championships, the 6 PBA Coach of the Year awards, one of 4 coaches in PBA history to have won at least 10 championships, your answer is always, it only makes me feel old.
Yeah, correct. I'm very sincere in that answer. It's true.
But Coach, your schedule is not for an old man. You wake up every day at 6, you play golf, you exercise, you have photo shoots, speaking engagements, you run your team, you run your businesses. How do you keep your youthful exuberance?
That's what I do. I am able to maintain my youthful exuberance, I guess, because of my daily routine. So there's a combination of physical activity, mindfulness, breathing, meditation that takes care of my emotional health as well. So, and then if you're physically and emotionally healthy, you increase the chances of making sure that you have a sharper mental acuity. So, I guess that's the answer.
Coach, let's talk about this latest championship, your 10th championship in the PBA. It wasn't easy. It was against also one of the best coaches in Philippine basketball history, your good friend, Coach Tim Con. Personally, when I was covering that final series, what I liked the most was the chess match between the two of you, the adjustments. For you, what adjustment of Coach Tim surprised you the most? Like the LA Tenorio starting in game number 3, slowing down the pace, Stephen Holt guarding RHJ. Para sa'yo, Coach, ano yung pinaka malaking adjustment na ginawa ni Coach Tim Con na sabi mo, uy, wow, he really got me there?
Believe it or not, none, not because he did not make any adjustments, but because we already expected it. So at the start of the series, I had already prepared myself that Tim is a master coach. He's going to make adjustments. So whatever it is that he did, we actually talked about that before game 2, if I'm not mistaken, and we won game 1. Even before game 2, we were already thinking what adjustments he's going to make. And we already mentioned that I won't be surprised if he starts LA. And then I kept asking, what is the health of JDV, of Joe Devans? Because these are the two guys, the veterans who with whom he has a chance to extend his rotation. Apparently in game 2, he didn't do it, but then yun na nga, in game 3, ayan na nga, lumabas na nga. And I think the difference in game 3 was really the game of LA and JDV. And in fact, not only game 3, even game 4. So because I know him pretty well and I know how good of a coach he is, we were able to prepare ourselves. I was able to prepare myself mentally that he will make adjustments.
What about you, Coach? You made some adjustments as well. Kelly Williams starting, Jason Castro starting in game 5.
Yeah.
So for you, was that also something planned before the series, that if Coach Tim does this, I'm going to do this, or was that an in-series adjustment?
Yeah, you're right. When the series starts, the way I prepare myself is always twofold. Okay, there's always for the game at hand and the impact on the entire series. I think what I've learned over the years is, yes, you want to coach and take it game at a time, but you also have to coach the series because you need to win the series to win the championship. So I had anticipated that. If he makes a different start to his lineup, if he starts LA or if he starts RJ or Ronjay Abarientos, then I know that I have Jason there. Maybe we start Ray, but then after a couple of minutes, we get Jason right away, just because we like those matchups. So yeah, I had those things in mind already, but still. Who would have anticipated Ron J's explosion in Game 6? I mean, wow. And then LA coming out to give them a spark in Game 3, right? So, like you said, hats off to Coach Tim for those great adjustments.
Reynam Batak was on the show 2 nights ago, and I asked him the difference between playing for Coach Yeng Yao with Rain or Shine and playing for you in TNT. And ang sinabi ni Ray was, si Coach Yeng daw, sobrang stricto pagdating sa mga details. And then, wag ka magkakamali with regards to those details. Now, with regards to you, sabi ni Ray na you allow him to be himself on the court, make decisions as long as it's within the system. And because of that, dun daw lumabas yung laro niya. So, Coach, your reaction to that and the acquisition of Reynam Batak, was this something that you planned when he was still with Rain or Shine, or dun na sa Blackwater?
Actually, yeah, we've eyed Ray for a long time, and especially after our defeat last conference, previous to this conference, where we lost the knockout game to Rain or Shine by 1 point in a knockout game, right? And that was because during that knockout game, Jason was already really injured. He couldn't go anymore. So that was really, that made the need all the more urgent. We needed someone to allow Jason to allow us to manage Jason's minutes so that in the playoffs he's relatively fresh. So yeah, that's number one. We've had our eye on him. Number two, with regards our style of play, yes, that's my philosophy as a coach, and I think as a leader, even in organizations, I always remind leaders, show your people the North Star or the direction, but leave the how to do it up to them. Because the modern employees of today, they hate being told what to do. They want to have autonomy. And when they have autonomy, they have the freedom to do how to do certain things, how to do their work. Then they also get better. So that's mastery. So those are two things that are very important to keep your people engaged and motivated. And the third piece is purpose. So I always remind leaders, make sure that in your work, your people feel that they have autonomy, that they are developing in the process, they have mastery, and that they're doing it for a purpose larger than just making money or just larger than just the salary. So I'm just practicing what I preach. So I say I do the same thing with the players.
Coach Ronde Hollis Jefferson, he played the entire game, literally 48 minutes in games 2 and 3. He's a guy who played 6 seasons in the NBA for 3 different teams. Is it hard to coach a player like that who, because when you play in the NBA, you're considered one of the best players in the world. How do you get players like that to buy in?
You have to establish a strong connection, because that strong connection is what is going to lead to the trust. So he has to trust me. And you know, my previous titles, my previous championships don't matter to a guy like Ronde, right? So he has to understand in our conversations that, uy, may sinasabi to, that I know what I'm doing, that with regards to X's and O's, you know, I'm there, that I understand and I know what I'm doing. But more than that, I have to do things that will initiate, that will build his trust, because you cannot manufacture, you cannot manage trust. Trust is reciprocated. So what can I do as a coach to engender his trust, for him to feel that he can, so that he can reciprocate that trust back to me? So we do a lot of things off the court with Ronde.
Who's the greatest PBA import that you've ever seen?
It's hard to look past Ronde because of everything that he do. But I've had some great ones: Kenny Redfield, Tim McClary, Paul Harris, definitely. But perhaps in terms of just overall completeness of his game, impact on the game, I think hard to beat Ronde.
Wow, so you would consider Ronde Hollis Jefferson the GOAT of all PBA imports?
That I have coached, yeah.
That you have coached. What about of all time that you've seen?
Well, he doesn't have the longevity of Bobby Parks or a Sean Chambers or a Norman Black, right? So it's hard to talk about it in that regard, or even Justin Brownlee. But if he's able to continue at this level for another 3-4 years, I'm sure we're going to talk about him as right there as one of the real GOATs.
Who's your basketball GOAT?
Of course, but are you talking about the player or
the
coach?
player.
Yeah. I've always been an Irvin Magic Johnson.
Wow, okay.
For me, he is the number one. So, hard to beat Magic, and then it's Clyde the Glide.
Wow, over Jordan and LeBron.
Yeah, I mean, I like, and then my number 3 is Kobe. Over Jordan and LeBron.
Wow.
For me, halata bang Lakers, ano?
Teka, Coach,
But
Clyde the Glide.
Clyde the Glide, New York Knicks, yeah.
Wow.
My very first...
You mean Clyde Frazier?
No,
Okay,
Knicks,
okay.
Clyde the Glide Frazier.
Okay.
Sorry, New York Knicks. My very first signature shoe was a Puma Glide.
Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. And he's a great commentator as well.
Yeah.
Coach, what about your coaching GOAT?
It's evolved over the years. The very first one that I really truly followed was Pat Riley when I got a hold of his book, The Winner Within. So a lot of my early foundations and philosophies were shaped by Coach Pat's coaching. And then I had the good fortune of attending one of his early practices in the old Lakers facility when his practices were not yet closed doors. And so I was able to pick up a few drills, and my players will know this very well, are 23 layups in 2 minutes and so on and so forth. Those are all from Pat Riley from the early days with Showtime, the Lakers. So that was my very first real international coaching influence. But then after that, I've had the chance to be invited and observe the practice of Dean Smith, Bobby Knight, Mike Krzyzewski, Coach K, and of course Phil Jackson when he was because of Tex Winter, who I developed a close friendship with. But right now, of course, Eric Spoelstra is somebody that I always take a look at what he's doing. But I'm very interested in the movements and the goings on of the European coaches, Kokosov, and right now, coach of the Raptors, Darko, and a lot of these other coaches are doing a lot of interesting stuff. So, like I said, it's evolving.